Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. And to paraphrase Margaret Thatcher, there is no such thing as the Tea Party. There is only a collection of individual billionaires. Seriously. Back in 2009 and 2010, during the debate about Obamacare and during the midterm elections that swept Republicans into power in the House of Representatives, this was all after the banks, after the big crash, and people were really PO'd at the banksters, right? And we first caught a glimpse of a monster. That monster has now taken over the halls of Congress. It has shut down the government that George Washington had 3 horses shot out from underneath him to create. That monster, of course, is the Tea Party. At the time, many of the folks in the establishment media, it's grassroots. It's like, this is like the Tea Party that started this country back in 1773, or started the movement to create this country. Look at all those crowds of people outside the Capitol and the mall in Washington, D.C. They're upset about President Obama, and now they're taking it to the streets. And you had Fox so-called News pumping out all this pro-Tea Party propaganda, and the major news outlets were either too frightened or too busy laughing to really check this out and see who was behind this thing. So for a while, it seemed that the Tea Party was actually a grassroots uprising. But as the smoke cleared, it became obvious that the Tea Party was not at all a grassroots democratic movement. And in fact, in many ways, doesn't even reflect traditional American values. In fact, it's the very opposite of grassroots and democratic values. It was the creation of billionaires intent on destroying our government, preventing Americans from getting access to health care, and sabotaging any attempt to regulate Wall Street or the oil industry. A small handful of oil and Wall Street groups behind the Tea Party, groups like Freedom Works and Americans for Prosperity. These were all front organizations for the billionaire oil tycoons and the banksters who wrecked the economy. And if you need any more proof of whose interest the Tea Party actually represents, consider this. Americans for Prosperity and Freedom Works actually began as parts of the group Citizens for a Sound Economy, which was created back in 1984 to defend the interests of big tobacco companies. They even started something that they called a Tea Party in the 1980s, so the smokers could have a smokers' rights group. The billionaires behind these groups weren't trying to save democracy. They were trying to hijack it. And these guys were rich and powerful enough to be able to essentially buy their own politicians and dupe a few thousand American activists to do their bidding. We should have seen this. The Tea Party's AstroTurf roots should have been obvious to anyone who was paying attention to their rallies. Back in 2009, for example, Americans for Prosperity, the pet project of the oil-rich Koch brothers, actually bussed Tea Party activists around the country to protest President Obama's proposed health care law, Obamacare. Which brings us back to Maggie Thatcher. Right? She was the UK's conservative prime minister from 79 to 90. And she once said, there is no such thing as society. There is only a collection of individuals. Right? This was the Ayn Rand theory. But actually, a similar thing can be said about the Tea Party. There is no such thing as the Tea Party. There's only a collection of individual billionaires and their front groups. And in January 2010, 5 right-wing justices on the Supreme Court handed that collection of individual billionaires a big gift. It was called Citizens United. And that decision said, money is speech. And the government cannot, or in only very limited ways, can restrict corporate electioneering. The Supreme Court essentially gave the billionaires behind the Tea Party the power to hire their own politicians, to buy politicians, to wreak havoc in Congress. Politicians who said that they were fighting for liberty, but their common word, freedom and liberty, they're really working in the interests of the corporate billionaire class. Now, people are figuring this out. And that's why the number of actual Tea Party activists has declined so quickly from the early days of 2010. Now that the Kochs and their allies can buy their own lawmakers, they don't need the those little spunky activists dressed in the tricorner hats and people following politicians around and harassing them back in 2009, 2000. They don't need them anymore. Since the 2010 Citizens United decision, it's like, hey, you can just buy your own politician. So now these billionaires count on people like Pete Sessions and Ted Cruz to do their bidding on Capitol Hill. Both of those guys, by the way, received huge campaign donations from groups like Club for Growth and Koch Industries. And right now, those bought politicians are towing the billionaire party line to a T. So we shouldn't be calling it a Tea Party. We should be calling it the billionaire party. They've shut down the government in what seems to be an attempt to sabotage Obamacare and prevent the media from informing Americans about how to use its insurance exchanges, and also to prevent us from talking about the IPCC report. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's out there that's happening. Make no mistake about it. This has always been the end goal of this Tea Party's monster. It wanted to destroy government's ability to protect middle-class working people while padding the wallets of its billionaire sponsors and doing away with the legacy of the New Deal when Franklin Roosevelt declared war on economic royalists. Remember that? But you know the thing about monsters? Like vampires, right? They can't handle garlic or crosses or silver bullets. Well, the Tea Party has an antidote too. And that antidote is rolling back the Supreme Court's Citizens United doctrine that corporations are people and money is speech. So if you want to take back our hijacked democracy from the billionaires and their lackeys in Congress, then we need to take away their blood, their lifeblood, which is billionaire money flowing into our elections. And then we could have a real democracy like the real Tea Party would be proud of, right? Like the one that stood up to the world's biggest corporation back in 1773. But if you want to do that, you got to amend the Constitution. And if you want to amend the Constitution, there's this incredible group, movetoamend.org. They've got little groups all over the country. People start them in their kitchens, in their living rooms, invite a few friends over. And they start lobbying to create a constitutional amendment. The constitutional amendment is there on the website, movetoamend.org, that simply says corporations are not entitled to rights under the Bill of Rights, under the Constitution. Only human beings are. And money is not speech. Words are speech. Real simple. Real simple. And over 500 communities now have passed resolutions because of this is an entirely grassroots movement, and it is entirely it's all volunteers. Movetoamend.org. I mean, it's just, this is like, you want to take the cancer out of our society? Movetoamend.org. I just, it's Progressive Democrats of America also does great work. PDAmerica.org. These, I think, are the two premier organizations in this country right now. So, step one, realize that the puppet masters behind the whole thing are cranky right-wing billionaires who want to turn America basically into an oligarch. 15 minutes past that.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Movetoamend.org is the website. And no, I'm not affiliated with them in any way at all, but I think they're really cool.